Hi guys, here Sean from 5-Star Marine with you today. Getting a lot of WhatsApp messages, emails, Facebook comments, people asking about what these latest rules from the Thai government mean. Just in case you didn't know, yesterday Prime Minister Prayut made an announcement that Thailand will be pausing the test and go entry scheme into all of Thailand. And the only way now to enter Thailand is via the Phuket Sandbox. Now, here at 5-Star Marine, we've been operating tours throughout this Phuket Sandbox period and also been helping some of our customers to get into the sandbox, understand the rules. So let's give a bit of a recap of what we expect is going to happen. Please do know that this announcement was just yesterday. And so what this really means for all of us is that we don't have a full clear order and rules on exactly what we know is going to happen, but we can give you an idea, we give you an expectation. So based on our experience with the sandbox, assuming we're going back to just the normal 7-day sandbox, and we're not talking about sandbox extensions, and we're not talking about a joint sandbox between Phuket, Krabi and Phang Nga, assuming that it's just a Phuket sandbox, that means for the first 7 days that you're here in Phuket, you're confined to Phuket and Phuket's islands. Now, I'm going to throw up a map, and what that means is that you can go to islands like Koh Rasha, Koh Mai Ton, and Koh Hay. Now, there are a few other smaller Phuket islands in there, like Koh Lon, Koh Rang, Koh Nakaye, Koh Nakanoi, but these islands are more kind of beaches than they are kind of snorkeling locations. If you're asking, are you able to go to Phi Phi and Phang Nga? During your first 7 days of sandbox, you're not allowed to go to Phi Phi and Phang Nga. So that's James Bond Island. Those are restricted, but you can go on the 8th day. Now, how do you do that? Your hotel is going to give you a release on day 7 of your sandbox. Once you've stayed the 7th night, they're going to give you a release form that then allows you to go with companies like us on day 8. In addition to that, you need to be ensured that you're working with SHA Plus approved companies. So if you are in the sandbox, you can only go on SHA Plus approved tours. There are a lot of operators that are licensed this way, but please, when you are booking your tour, make sure that you ask if they are SHA Plus approved, because this is important for you to stay within the rules of your sandbox. To understand that the Thai government here, when they're talking about the sandbox program, they're making sure that us as operators are following the rules, but also you as the guests are following the rules, and there's an onus on you as well to understand the rules. So again, I'm not going to go through every single rule of how the sandbox works. There are other videos that we've put out here on YouTube since July, which will give you an idea of what kind of rules to expect. But as it relates to boat tours, yes, you can get out. Yes, you can go on a boat. Yes, you can go on an SHA Plus approved company, and the destinations are really Russia, Coral, and Mai Ton. We did have, for us as a company, we were operating a Coral Mai Ton tour, which was our Dolphin and Snorkeling tour. That was a very popular tour during the early days of Sandbox. You will need to go through an SHA Plus approved pier. There is documentation that you'll need to provide to us. We'll need to have a copy of your front page of your passport, your vaccine certificate. You're going to need to have the More China app on your phone, because once you're here, we're going to have to check that to make sure that the rules of the sandbox allow you to go on tour. But as I said, this is all breaking news. If you're thinking that you'd like to chat with your hotel about the rules, or you'd like to chat with your airline about the rules, or your local embassy about the rules, it's important to know that right now, most of us are all still what I would say is called walking blind. We saw the announcement come out yesterday, but that's as far. You know, what you're reading in the media is as much as we've been briefed. There are government briefings coming up over the next few days, which should allow us to see a little bit more about what to expect, the rules of the sandbox again. We're waiting now for an official Phuket provincial order to come out, which will dictate the rules. We're expecting that will be out in the next day or so. If you do have questions, we're happy to answer them. In some cases, we may not have answers, and we'll honestly tell you that. But if you're looking for some advice on what to do now that the test and go in the Thailand pass is gone, and look, the government is going to be checking that again. They're talking January 4th as being the day that they're going to review whether they'll allow the test and go scheme to come back into play. My guess is that it's unlikely that they're going to reactivate that while this latest variant is still prevalent across the world. Here in Thailand, we only had 63 cases when they decided to shut down this test and go program. So if you see our cases of this latest variant continue to increase, and I read a report this morning said that there was 25 new cases today of this variant. If you see that keep increasing, I think what you're really going to find is that this test and go closure is going to be more of a short to mid-term closure than really just a couple of weeks. I think it's more likely it's going to be maybe a month or two. So if you're planning to travel, I think plan to travel under the Sandbox scheme. And we do understand that that doesn't have some of the niceties of the test and go scheme. But here in Phuket, as we try and recover out of COVID, we hope that you continue to travel. We hope you feel confident about coming here to Phuket. As you can see in the background behind me, it's really stunning here right now. This is our pier location. Low tide right now, but the sun's up, the wind is low. It's a really good time to be in Phuket. Even if you do have to do a sandbox here, everything's open, bars are open, restaurants are open. We're all taking COVID protocols seriously. We're all making sure that we are COVID safe. But on top of that, we're also making sure that you have a great time while you're here. So hopefully those of you who are looking to travel, we're going to welcome you here into Phuket. If you have any questions about the sandbox, drop a comment below, contact us on WhatsApp, Facebook, or even send us an email. So down here is the Koh Russia Islands. This is Koh Russia Ye and Koh Russia Noi. Both of these islands are both beautiful white sandy beaches. Some great snorkeling there. Water clarity at Koh Russia Ye and Noi is some of the best water clarity you'll find in Phuket. Very similar to the Similan Islands as well. So if you're looking during the sandbox to do a day trip, you can certainly come and leave out the Phuket Boat Lagoon Pier. Head on down to maybe Koh Russia Noi and do a snorkeling trip. And then once you've done your snorkeling trip at Koh Russia Noi, you can come back to Koh Russia Ye, maybe have some lunch. After you finish lunch, do another snorkel, and possibly go over to Koh Mai Ton and check for the dolphins and do another snorkel over there, and then back to Boat Lagoon. So that would be one tour option inside the sandbox that's now been reactivated. If you're looking for something a little bit closer in, a tour that was popular that I mentioned before is our Dolphin and Snorkeling tour. This tour leaves out of Phuket Boat Lagoon, comes down to Koh Mai Ton for some snorkeling. Look for the dolphins that are regularly found here at Koh Mai Ton. Then over to Coral Island. Once you're at Coral Island, you can have some lunch, relaxation. It's a really beautiful beach there. Just amazing water clarity. In fact, my son, who's 9 years old, loves Banana Beach, spends a lot of time there on the weekends. You can also do some parasailing there. You can do banana boating. There's volleyball on the beach. In fact, we did a big tug of war games there, a little bit Squid Game style not so long ago. Once you finish there, you can do a snorkel again at the backside of Coral Island and then back to the pier. Now, there are some other islands out here on the map that you'll see, but a lot of these don't fit within the Phuket province. So Phi Phi Island is not inside the Phuket province. Phang Nga Bay is not inside the Phuket province. Hong Krabi is not inside the Phuket province. So as we understand it, the rules of the sandbox that have been reactivated will allow you to stay just within the provincial islands of Phuket, which is the Russia Islands, Coral Island, Mai Ton Island. So that's where you could probably go out and do exploring during this sandbox period that's been reactivated here in Thailand. For those of you who already have a Thai pass and are arriving in December or January, you still have freedom of travel. You can go to Phi Phi Phang Nga, you can go wherever you like. Those pre-issued Thailand passes are all valid and active. So just a few questions that we're seeing come through right now. Look, if you have already got your Thai pass, then the rules are as normal. So when you apply for the Thai pass, if your plan was to come to Phuket, spend a couple of days in Phuket, then fly to Bangkok, and then after that fly on to Chiang Mai, all of this is still possible. So Thailand is honoring your Thai pass. So it's kind of like you've signed a contract already with Thailand, and Thailand saying, yes, we honor that contract, and so we're not applying new rules to you. So people are freaking out because they're on a plane and thinking, oh, I'm gonna have to land into Thailand, and no longer is there test and go, and I'm gonna have to go into the sandbox, and it's gonna cost additional money. No, that's not the case. If you're on a plane, then you've already got your Thai pass. If you've already got your Thai pass, and you can come into Phuket, Bangkok, Chiang Mai, Krabi, you can go wherever you like following the test and go scheme. The only additional requirement that has come out is that they're going to make you do another RT-PCR test during your time in Thailand. Now, that's not going to cost you any additional money. The government has come out and said that they will pay for this test because they changed this rule post you signing the Thai Pass contract. Again, it's not a real contract, right? But I want you to try and understand the concept of how you're operating here, which is you've been approved, you have your documents, you can come in, you're going to enjoy your trip as planned. Okay, as planned. There's no further changes to your current trip. The changes are in effect as of midnight last night to new applications. So if you were planning to come into Thailand via test and go, but you hadn't put your Thai pass application in, as of midnight last night, you're now on Sandbox scheme only in Phuket, and that's all the way through January 4th, okay? So don't stress about it. Travel plans do not need to change. You do not need to land into Phuket and get forced to buy a Sandbox package. You don't need to land into Bangkok and can no longer enter the country. They're honoring all Thai passes that have been issued, and we're hearing that that's about 20-odd thousand people who have received the Thai pass with plans to travel, and that means they will honor it for those people.